Hey everyone, I'm Liberty Hightower, and I just want to talk to you for a little bit about the Kirkleonoidea that's present at the Virginia Museum of Natural History, which is a natural history museum located in Martinsville, Virginia. Just to give you a little context, Martinsville, Virginia is the blue dot on the map, and the capital of the state is the red dot, Richmond, Virginia, right there. And so in 1984, it was started as a private institution, and by 1988, the state had adopted it or made it official that we were the repository for scientific material, as well as the state's natural history museum. Sometimes people get a little bit confused because we're not in the capital, but we are still the state repository. So the Department of Recent Invertebrates is run. There's about three people. It's run primarily by the curator of recent invertebrates, Dr. Cal Ivanoff, the guy in the navy shirt in the top left picture. He started in 2014 and specializes in ants, formicity, but also does some terrestrial isopods and a few other things over the years. The guy on the right in this picture is Dr. Jackson Means, and he started in 2020. He's our assistant curator of recent invertebrates, and he primarily studies myriapods, millipedes, but has also picked up spiders and is working on a Spiders of Virginia project. Person in the middle is me. This is Liberty Hightower. I am the research tech for the Department of Recent Invertebrates and do a smattering of things. So things like down here where I'm adding curated specimens to the collection. Up here is processing of an incoming donation of someone's research on Odonata, and these are all enveloped, and the research is done. The paper was published. They didn't have a place for the stuff to go, and so it ended up here because we are the repository, and so here we are processing it. Most of my time, however, is spent over here under the microscope pointing ants, which is my favorite thing to do. And eventually, I sometimes do make it out into the field where we collect a lot of bugs and we have a lot of fun. In terms of collections, like I said, the museum started in like 1988. Our first curator was Dr. Richard Hoffman for the recent invertebrate department, and he brought along 54,000 specimens, and that's really what got us started in our terms of our collections. We also have picked up a lot of, like I said, orphan collections. So we have a University of Richmond collection that's from the 30s and 40s. Our oldest specimens date all the way back to 1870. We have fluid and dry collections mostly, but we also have some molecular frozen tissues. And emphasis is on Virginia, but also the surrounding states, so southeastern United States. But we really do have a little bit of everything from a little bit of everywhere. And so it's a really nice little collection. A couple of strengths, as you can see, we actually had a really nice bryozoan curator, and she, had a lot of type specimens throughout her career and stuff. So we're pretty strong there. In terms of myriapods, we really are doing fairly well. We're considered to be among the top 10 in terms of most important millipede collections in the world, and probably we think we're currently digitizing them, but we should have between 400 and 500 types, species of types, so in that collection. So really quite strong. And then of course ants and terrestrial isopods because they're of research interest. Unfortunately, not everything is digitized or cataloged. We did start a formal inventory in 2017. Both Cal and I started in 2014, and really just wanted to get the collections put together a little bit more and a little bit more available for research, and that starts with inventorying them. Digitizing takes a lot longer. We do have a couple of, again, research interests like these terrestrial isopods, ants, and things that we have digitized, and we just finished up a publication that is freely available online. It's a part one of all the non-myriapod type specimens. So they're all digitized. They're all put into this really nice publication. I say all with a little asterisk because that is already out of date, as these kind of things do happen. But as of, last month, we had them all. All right, so Kirkleonoidea, we are here to talk about weevils today. And so just to kind of give you an idea of where we are currently in terms of our collections. So 3,200 curated specimens. Of that, 3,000, more than 3,000 of them are actually identified to species, which I feel like we're in a pretty good spot that way. This is largely due to this donation, this not donation, this loan from 2019. Dr. Art Evans and Dr. Robert Anderson, Bob Anderson, took all 16 of our Cornell drawers of weevils and brought them over to Art's house and just completely overhauled it. So they went and identified everything they could to species, and then they organized it into the current taxonomic understanding and then brought them back. And so because of that, our weevils are really, really nice in terms of identification and organization. Further than that, so when we get weevils, and if they're unidentified, they kind of just sit, don't really make it into the collection right now. We don't have someone who's very knowledgeable in terms of bringing these things down and identifying them. And when I'm processing Winkler samples and I'm pulling things like ants and isopods and other things of current research interest, I also, for quite a few years now, we have pulled all the weevils and sent them all to Bob. We pull all the scarabs and we send them all to Art, that kind of thing. And so they get to Bob in alcohol form, and he has to go through and in his, I'm sure, copious spare amounts of time, preps them and labels them and then IDs them and then sends us back some, keeps some for himself for his collection. And so that's kind of how we've grown our collection that way. So it is a little bit of a long process. And I just attended that Weevil course in Arizona at the Southwestern Research Station. And so I'm hoping to kind of like shorten that whole process, just because if I can prep some and get some to at least subfamily, tribe, and maybe even genera, then I can send the ones of research interest to Bob, and then others can make it into our collection faster and that kind of thing. So that is one of the hopes. That's one of the future goals, so to speak. So the asterisk that I talked about earlier is about our paratypes of weevils, because we have 4 paratypes, but only one of them has actually made it into that publication and is fully digitized. This specimen is from a description in 2015 by Dr. Anderson and a colleague, and it did make it into that recent publication and can be found there. But then just last month, while that manuscript was being proofed, we got 3 more specimens from Bob, and they're of paratypes from Texas. And we also got back a bunch of those specimens that I said we send him in alcohol form, and then he goes through the whole process and sends us back some ID'd. But he threw in some other specimens and in there, and we are very thankful for that. And those will be digitized soon. They just didn't make it quite into that publication. So future goals, basically one of the future goals, you just continue that curation and growth so that this collection can be of more research value to people in the future. And so just looking back, so when Cal and I started in 2014, for example, we had taken a count, and then from that to today, about 28% of our collection is stuff that has been added. And so 924 specimens were added. 383 of those was that bulk, was that delivery from Bob Anderson. And just in that 383, 10 of those species are new to our collection, and 3 genera are new to our collection. So it's really neat just to see it grow. And you see these 2 guys right here are specimens that we had sent. And then he sent us back with IDs. So these are from Winkler samples. These 3 animals right here are from my Arizona trip. And thankfully, because of that course and the keys and all the help from weevil experts that are there, I got these down to genus and species here, genus there. And so those are already going to be available in our collection, kind of thing. And I threw in some pretty undets just to look at. Again, digitization, future goals, the more our collection can be so much more useful if I can provide data for people. If someone, someone contacts me and wants to have data of a certain species, I could just send them a spreadsheet instead of, having to go and try and copy it all down. As of right now, I can tell you how many I have of each species, but I can't tell you where they're from or when they're from. So it'd be really great to get some of that digitized. Update taxonomy, just if anything has changed from 2019 to now. And then just other small things, like this is an aesthetic thing, proper or proper tray labels. These are all handwritten, and these are all kind of typed out with their biogeographic information kind of thing. This would be also helpful right now. It just says our drawers just say VMNH Kirkleonoidea 1 through 16, but it would be much more helpful if, say, I'm trying to take a stab at a beetle, a weevil, and I get to the Baryodine, and I want to compare it to other Baryodines. I can much more easily find it if we had those tray labels updated, like we do for some of the staffs. So. And then other future goals, really, I just want to continue collaborating with all the great people I met at the Weevil course and others that I know. Love collecting and furthering the collection that way, and just would love to be involved in research projects. And yeah, so I can say that, just from that course, these are two more from that course that I was able to get. And then again, going through keys and getting them down to species, and was just really informative to just get into that. This is my haul from the Arizona trip. This A tray is the only A tray of weevils. So I did do a lot of searching for weevils, but they weren't. I didn't find nearly as many as some of the other things, but these are all just, this is beetles in general kind of thing. So haven't gotten anything ID'd other than some of the weevils so far, but it was a really great trip. And then Cal, our curator, has really been quite the traveler this year, and so he was in Paraguay in February. Got this big old weevil. I think it's a palm weevil, but I haven't actually looked at it or ID'd it. I'm sure there's multiple people on here that could correct me if I'm wrong. um, but he's still in alcohol. He hasn't been prepped yet. And then Cal is currently in Vietnam, and he sent me this picture of a weevil that he collected just last week. So I'm excited when Cal gets back to take a look at that in person, and just to kind of continue in my weevil knowledge, continue collaborating. And if anyone out there is looking for Virginia weevils, we have some that you can record data from. And yeah, so thank you for coming to my talk and listening, and getting to know a little bit about VMNH and a little bit about about our weevils. So if you have any questions, just let me know, either here or on email. Thank you.